3 years ago, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, a debilitating disease that scared me to death. But I stand before you tonight, not for pity, but to share my hope that I believe could help hundreds of thousands of other sick people like me in my journey to MS and back. They were the words I never thought I'd hear.
I think you have early MS.
My children were just 2 and 3 at the time. Would they still remember me when I was able to walk? Or would they be taking care of me instead of the other way around? In my 20 years as a journalist, hundreds of people have shared their struggles and their stories with me, and they've done so because they wanted their story to help someone else. So for me to keep this to myself, to not share this journey that I'm on, would be a disservice to you and to God. That is high enough.
Like any other mom,
Where did the green guy go?
I just want to be here for my kids.
You want to get on, Heath?
Call me selfish, but I really want to be fully functional too. And MS is known for taking that away.
Daddy's turn.
Chris and I have been together 18 years.
When my wife first found out, I was just as angry as she was and frustrated, and there was a lot of crying going on.
But all the tears in the world couldn't change what a battery of tests showed. My MRI revealed tiny white specks on my brain.
It looks like there are probably no more than 10 or 12 here.
They're called lesions.
Depending on where they're located, they can cause a variety of symptoms. Some people lose vision if they have one of the lesions behind their eye. Some patients can have problems with their balance.
For me, it all started with the sensation of pinpricks, the feeling of cold water running down the back of my head, blurred vision in one eye, and extreme exhaustion over the period of about 5 months. Then I woke up one day in July 2008, got out of bed, and couldn't walk.
Very scared. Very scared. Natural to be scared. You have visions of something being really, really bad, and you have all these visions of, is it going to be me raising these kids by myself?
Imagine an electrical cord with a divot in it. The current would have a hard time traveling past this spot. Well, that's what happens with multiple sclerosis. Immune cells mistakenly attack the myelin or insulation around nerve fibers in the brain and spinal cord, a process called demyelination, effectively cutting off communication from nerve to nerve. And since, as a journalist, I'm trained to search for answers, I immediately started the research process, spending hours each day online, on the phone, trying to lay to rest a strange hunch I had, a gut feeling that wouldn't go away. Could the dental work I'd had done just prior to my onset of symptoms have triggered this terrible disease now ravaging my body? I'd recently had 4 30-year-old silver amalgam fillings taken out and replaced with 4 new silver amalgam fillings because that's what insurance covered.
An amalgam simply means it's a combination of several alloys. There's like nickel, but it's a small percentage of nickel. There's like 10% silver in this alloy, 50% mercury in this alloy, and a few other alloys that are mixed in with it.
50% mercury? Dr. Ada Frazier has a biological dentistry practice in Meridianville, Alabama. She's a member of the International Academy of Oral Medicine and Toxicology, a worldwide dental organization that focuses on the connection between your mouth and your health. An organization that produced this video I found during my research. Watch this.
What you're seeing is mercury vapor coming off a 25-year-old silver amalgam filling in an extracted tooth. The background is a phosphorescent screen. The mercury vapor absorbs the fluorescent light, and you can see it as a shadow.
And I quickly learned that happens every time you chew or drink hot liquids with silver fillings in your mouth.
Think about it. This is mercury. It's toxic, and anybody else, that EPA or anybody else that handles this stuff, they handle it with kid gloves. We put it in people's mouths and say it's safe.
I also discovered that 100 million of these fillings are placed every year in the U.S., while other countries have already banned them as unsafe. Now, I had 8 of them in my mouth from childhood, which means I could potentially absorb 120 micrograms of mercury every day. Now, by comparison, the FDA puts out a warning about mercury in seafood because it emits 2.3 micrograms of mercury.
Over time, those metals can cause disease. When you reach a certain burden, those toxic metals, the effect of them, can start causing cellular dysfunction.
Armed with tons of disturbing information and several books.
Don't lean back.
What was a mom to do? Wait until this disease ravaged my body enough to start on a standard medication for MS? Or choose to make myself the guinea pig and take a controversial alternative route?
Known about some of this for a while. How does it feel now that it's out there, honestly?
It's been a very cathartic process these last few weeks, because as I've gone through all of these alternative treatment methods and have seen myself get better, which you'll see in the next report, it's been easy to forget the days when it was bad. And it's much better to forget those days, but to go back and dredge all of that up and revisit it has been cathartic. But I hope that if this can help just one person, it is worth it all.
That's what it's about. I could feel you as you were watching that, the emotion.
Absolutely. Later in this newscast, I will take you on this long journey down a path of hope, one that I believe will ultimately one day reverse my diagnosis. It is a report that anyone with an autoimmune disease could find helpful.